We're going on to chapter 13 now. Page 349, John Jakovich, their mother's son, and the chapter 13 is titled Renee, Tripe, and Etampes.
Tripe, yeah, I remember Tripe.
What would you remember in Tripe? Tell me.
Huh?
What did you remember about Tripe?
I never had it before. It was good. I mean,
liked it?
If someone knew how to do it, how to work it up.
Let me ask you something. Later in your life, being your mother was from the old country, did she serve you tripe from time to time?
Yeah. She was making it before, but I didn't realize it.
You didn't realize it?
Yeah.
So you enjoyed the tripe?
Yeah.
And then Renee, tell us briefly about who Renee was in this chapter 13.
Yeah.
Who was Renee?
Renee? Well, it was another woman in France. She was an assistant nurse.
Oh, no, what about Renee, the nun?
The nun?
Yeah, Renee.
No, she wasn't a nun. She was a novice. She's going to be a nun, but she got hooked up with the resistance, and she did more military than she should have done. The Mother Superior said, we have to convert you back or find out you can't take it back. We have to find out what your story is. So they sent her to Vietnam as a missionary.
And what happened there?
Oh, she got killed.
How?
Some idiot hit her in the head.
Shot her in the head?
Yeah.
Didn't Renee's parents and didn't Renee's brother also got killed by the resistance?
Who?
Didn't Renee's parents and Renee's
brother? Most of the civilians were killed.
Well, tell us how that happened about Renee's parents. How did they get killed?
Well, they were at their own home, and the Germans come in, and they got pissed off, and they shot them and took everything they had there.
So they killed her mother and father.
Yeah, took everything in the house and left.
And then they killed the son also.
Yeah.
Do you think, well, Renee was in the process of being a Roman Catholic nun, do you think her observing her parents and her brother killed turned the tide and she lost some of her faith and moved on?
Well,
what do you think?
Well, I don't think she thought along those lines. I think she thought what the hell's going on and she wants to get out of there, that's all.
Was she bitter about that?
No.
No. Was Renee an artist?
Who?
Was Renee an artist?
Yeah, she had her studio up in the room. That's where the German officers come and get the portraits taken.
I still don't understand. Paris at that time was not only occupied by the Germans, but it was also occupied by the Americans.
Yeah.
But how did the German officers get their portraits taken by Renee? How did that happen?
Well, they knew the American officers too. So, they were nice old buddies.
You're kidding. So the German officers and the American officers would get along?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That must have been the way upper echelon.
What do you mean?
Of Renee taking the portraits of these officers must have been upper echelon.
Well, they were second grade.
Did you actually see these portraits of the German officers?
Yeah, she was good. That's why they came to her.
Did you see any portraits of the SS?
Probably. I didn't know they were SS.
Did you see many portraits of American officers?
No.
Just the German?
Just the Germans.
What finally happened with those portraits? Do you have any idea?
What?
Those portraits of that Renee?
Well, the one Renee that made them, she probably put them in a drawer someplace and forgot about them, and then someone looted the damn thing, took it and threw it out and sold it.
Okay. So they weren't actually in frames. They were rolled up portraits, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I understand. Okay. Chapter 13, Renee, Tripe, and Etampes. As the ambulance bounced along the cobblestone streets, it reminded me of the streets in Haverford West. I caught fleeting glimpses of passing trucks and ambulances through the small window in the rear of the ambulance, but nothing of significance to tell me I was in a fabulous city of Paris, Frankly, I was not too impressed in being here, and was more taken with the idea how well the Army was taking care of us, contrary to what my experiences had been up to now. When you're taking this ambulance ride to one of your hospitals in Paris, did you happen to drive past the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah.
I'm surprised the Germans never blew up the Eiffel Tower.
Well, the Germans weren't that uncivilized.
But you actually seen
A lot of Germans were Catholics.
were you actually, when you're driving in the ambulance and you seen the Eiffel Tower, did you see many Catholic churches when you drove?
Oh, yeah, considered it all over, especially in France.
How about, were any of the Catholic churches that you noticed, were they ever bombed?
Not really. If the German bombers knew there was a church there, they wouldn't bomb
They
it.
wouldn't bomb it, okay.
They wouldn't bomb it, no.
That's why there's so many beautiful churches still in France.
Yeah.
Because the Germans didn't bomb them. The convoy of ambulance stopped in a schoolhouse courtyard. A squad of medical corpsmen came running out to begin to unload the stretchers, place them in a large glass enclosed entrance. All the while they were transferring us from the ambulance, they joked amongst themselves and talked of the previous night experience with their French damsels. So, the medical corpsmen are French. The medical corpsmen that are meeting you over there are from France,
Yeah.
correct? They're not Americans.
No.
And they were just talking about their last night.
Well, because they were in French hospitals.
Oh, what's that?
They were in French hospitals.
Okay, but they were talking about their last night's experience, and they really weren't too cared about the people they're moving around. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, not really, no.
All the while, they're oblivious to the human cargo they were confronted with. I thought as they carried me on the stretcher that they displayed a typical rear echelon attitude. There was no war for them. So these corpsmen they're carrying around, they're not really caring about you. They're taking you from the ambulance. They were just rear echelon, and they never seen any combat at all.
No.
A medical officer came and checked our diagnostic tags and marked a word on them. Another crew began to transport the stretchers while the officer examined up a flight of some steps to the ward indicated. I was deposited on the second floor of a small ward with about 15 beds. As they tucked me into the bed, the clean white sheets and the soft, springy mattress were entirely a new experience for me. I ran my hand over the crisp white sheets, touching their softness. It was the first bed with sheets I had slept in since leaving Breckenridge. So that must have been very unusual from sleeping on streets and sleeping in snow and sleeping in dirt. Now you have a soft mattress with crisp white sheets.
That was the way of life. That was the way of life. If you sustained it, you were lucky. If you didn't, you're gone.
Good night, Claire.
Good night, Claire. You had enough.
Help her. Wish you the best, Claire. Wish you the best now.
Escort her out, Claire.
Be careful of the cables, Claire. The studio has lots
Watch
of
the
cables.
landlines.
Be careful. Good night, Claire.
You're making these little episodes as big deals. I mean, that was normal wartime experiences.
I'm reading your book. That's all I'm doing.
Huh?
I'm reading your words, not mine. Here it is. I'm reading your words.
Yeah, well.
I'm just reading your words. Okay, here we go. The small, pretty blonde Army nurse gave me an injection and asked how I was doing. I smiled and I said I was doing fine. She said that we would be getting some breakfast shortly and passed out some Stars and Stripes. What do you remember about the Stars and Stripes magazine? Is that the first time you ever seen it?
No, we saw Stars and Stripes in the States. They had newsstands all over the world.
You commented earlier in your book that you knew it, first time you heard it referred to of the Battle of the Bulge was written in the Stars and Stripes magazine.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. We thought it was a joke. We thought it was a joke.
The first time you heard of it being called the Battle of the Bulge, you said you read it in the Stars and Stripes.
Hollywood stuff. Hollywood stuff.
Okay, but that's what you said.
That's it.
the
Hollywood
first time you
stuff.
heard of
Yeah. Oh, nothing going on there.
Let's take a 5-minute recess.